Okay, so it is time now for a very interesting factory. During this class, we are going to implement the factory for the transaction model. We are going to see that we need to accomplish some specific restrictions, and that is going to be very interesting to implement. So let's go right now to our code. Let's copy this. We have now a factory for transaction. Remember to import the definition. So basically the transaction has a quantity, a buyer ID, and a product ID. So the quantity is going to be a random number between 1 and 3. Then we have the buyer ID and the product ID. The interesting part here is that remember that the seller of that specific product must be different of the buyer. So we need to deal with that restriction. For that, we can do the following. We are going to obtain a seller in a random way. So let me explain this code. We are going to be deep on this in the next classes, but let's explain this a little. We know that the seller directly make a query in the user table. So basically, if we just obtain all the sellers, we are obtaining whatever user. But we need to be sure that that user, it means that seller, already has at least one product. So for that, we use the has method. In this way, we know that this seller is a user that really has products, that converts that user in a seller. So we just obtain that collection of sellers, and after that obtain a random one of them, only one. Now, what happened with the buyer? Well, the buyer must be a user different of the seller. So you might be asking why we are querying directly to user and not to buyer. Well, because whatever user can be a buyer, it means a user can be transformed in a buyer on that specific moment that purchase something. So before the purchase, it is a user, and after the purchase, it is a buyer. So at this moment, we just can obtain all the users because we don't need that to be a new buyer. It already has purchased something. So we just need all the users and not only all the buyers. But we need to accept from all this list the seller that we already obtained. Then after the whole list, we obtain a random element. For the buyer ID, we just need to obtain the ID of that buyer. Then for the product ID, so we need the seller. Then we need to obtain the products of that seller. And from that collection of products, we are going to obtain one of them randomly. Once we have a random product obtained, we just need the ID of that specific product. Please don't forget to import the definition of transaction and seller. So here we need to do this in this way because we can't obtain randomly only one product because we cannot be sure if the seller of that specific product is different of the buyer. That is probably different, but if we are going to insert 1000 of transactions or maybe more, it is going to be probable or almost sure that in some point that specific seller of that specific product is going to be the same. So we need to be absolutely sure that they are going to be very different every time. We are done now with this interesting factory and we can continue in the next class. See you there.